It's going
I know. You know where I'm not going?
away.
Out
To
to
the bathroom?
California anytime soon.
Thank you.
Well, if I was going to the bathroom right here, that'd be kind of disgusting and disturbing.
That actually might be a violation of law.
Yeah.
Depends if it's inside or outside. It might be a,
Mm.
medical scenario. It might, you could classify that as a biohazard,
Yeah.
depending on what I ate last night.
Taco Bell.
It's
So,
If I was wearing Depends, yeah.
welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, fuckers. Uh, I'm Jacob.
I'm Michael, and we have with us a special guest. Besides Jeff and Amy, we have Michelle Nelson, who is running for district attorney of Nye County. So, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
It's an,
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
it's an opportunity for us to kind of throw some questions at Michelle and get an idea of what her vision for the office is and
Mhm.
kind of dispel a few things because I, I'm going to preface this with I know Michelle. I've worked with her on the library board. She's our liaison and representative from the district attorney.
So you're used to dealing with grumpy people then?
Oh yes, every library meeting.
I just want to make sure because I understand, like, I don't really have the full synopsis of what a district attorney does.
There are many facets to what the district attorney does.
Okay.
So there is the criminal side, and there is also the civil side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So right now, I am the chief civil deputy,
Okay.
and my role as the chief civil deputy is to handle government matters, civil litigation matters.
Okay.
So
Okay.
government matters include library board, board of county
Yay.
commissioners, district boards such as Beatty Library, Beatty General Improvement
Does that
District.
mean like you got to double check to make sure what the Board of County Commissioners is doing is legal?
We review the agenda,
Mm-hmm.
make sure those items have no legal issues,
Okay.
that they can go forward. And then as we sit there, we also monitor for open meeting law violations.
She stops me from screwing up.
Okay.
So, for example, if we have an item on the agenda that says for possible action,
Mm-hmm.
there would be public comment that is allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes everybody starts talking with the board, they get a little bit involved in the item, they take a vote and they move on, they forget to ask for public comment.
Yes.
So it's my
Ooh.
job to stop the board and say, "Excuse me, chair, we forgot to ask for public comment."
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
if
She
and
keeps me honest.
yeah, and that's my role. That would be my job
Okay.
as
So you're the
the
dot in the I and the cross in
I'm
the
there.
T. I
I'm
like
there.
that.
Yeah. If it
You're
gets
it.
missed, then the blame falls to me because I'm sitting there and
She's
I'm
the it behind the.
Yes.
yes.
I'm sorry,
And I'm
but
going to say that as occasionally acting chairman and possibly new chairman, depending on how things shake out, I appreciate the heck out of it.
yeah, because
Because I'm no expert. I'm no lawyer. And we've said that here how many times? I'm no lawyer.
I'm no lawyer. We are not giving legal advice or anything else like that. That's the only reason why we keep on saying allegedly so much.
It's our favorite word.
Yes.
Uh, so so that's the civil portion of things, and
Yes.
that's critical. So if somebody was to sue the county, you'd be the chief person on top of that department. Yeah.
Well, the way Brian, our current district attorney, has it structured,
Mm-hmm.
he has also started what he calls a like a litigation unit,
Okay.
which is comprised of two individuals, two attorneys
Okay.
that are mainly handling those cases.
Got
So
it. Okay.
prior to Brian coming in, all of us in the civil division handled civil litigation cases.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Because I know that's
Hey,
that's
Hmm.
another function of the office is
two
to
sets
defend
of
the
Yeah.
eyes, two
to
sets of
defend the
eyes.
county.
I appreciate that versus just sitting there and one person being like, "Ugh, I had a bad day." Yeah, for sure. Whatever.
Right. And
So.
that's why it's great to have a collaborative effort,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
which we don't really have now.
Oh.
But I come from private practice. I was 25 years in private practice.
Okay.
And what my firm would do is, depending on what cases we actually had at the time, either weekly or bi weekly, sit down with the attorneys in the office, whoever was handling those cases, talk about it, see what those issues are, who has ideas. If someone were to become ill, someone else can jump in because we're all familiar with what everyone else is doing.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea. I like that.
and that's not something that's happening now.
Yeah, that sounds like a good team aspect where you actually have to have that good coordination to have that. Because I mean, there are guys in the military that I would not talk to unless I absolutely had to. And the reason why is
Yeah,
'cause
like
I didn't
you.
have
I won't
enough
talk to you.
crayons nor enough brain cells to be able to like resist the urge of yelling obscenities at them because they'd be like, you'd explain the entire thing and they'd be like, okay, I don't get it.
Okay.
Well, it's a combination of crayons and coloring book. So that
The problem
may
is, I
have
give
been-
them crayons and coloring books, and they're just gonna shut up and color, and they're not gonna hear a single thing. They teach you in the military. They're like, do not present something at the same time that you're talking. You go through, you do the talk, then you do the present for the picture. So that way, the person isn't just sitting there reading it the entire time like this. And so, yeah,
So that sounds like one of the things you want to bring to the office is a more collaborative environment.
yes.
Kind of cross training, cross briefing the staff, the attorneys on staff, to
Yes.
be able to pick up the ball if the ball gets dropped because of illness or injury or resignation or whatever happens.
Right. Absolutely. When Brian came in, well, just before Brian came in, there were actually 3 deputies that were assigned to the civil division.
Okay.
okay,
One was promoted to chief criminal deputy,
Okay.
which left Marla Zlotek. I don't know, Mike, if you knew
Oh yeah,
Marla.
I remember Marla.
So Marla retired.
Yep.
And I took over the chief position. She was our chief. I was
Right.
a senior deputy at the time, and I became then the chief deputy. And after that, I was the only person working the civil division. I mean, it was actually the joke in the county. I was a chief with no Indians because I had no help,
wow,
and that's how it's ran.
And I would say that they're co-equal branches. That the county needs to have that portion of things in addition, obviously, to the criminal portion of things.
Yes.
You know,
was there any like reason for the manning deficit where you didn't have any deputies underneath you to help you with that?
Well, Brian had his vision of wanting to do a litigation division.
Mm-hmm.
So the chief criminal deputy was actually doing civil litigation.
Okay.
There was a deputy brought in who was supposed to do half of the say government side
Uh-huh.
and half of the civil litigation side, but that didn't happen, and she was just primarily focusing
You
on
cut
the
her or the lighter?
litigation.
Fire.
Fire's
Yeah,
right there.
I'm also one. Okay. So on the criminal side of things, and I know this is a question people are probably asking you since you've
Mhm.
been on the civil side so long.
Yes.
What credentials, what chops do you bring to the criminal side of things? That's what people see when they hear district attorney. You know, they hear cha-ching or
Mhm.
two brand or yeah.
Right.
So what do you bring to that side of things, and how would you manage that side of the office?
Yep. Most people, when they hear district attorney, only think of the criminal side.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot don't even realize there is a civil side that's a component of that. But on the criminal side, with my 25 years in private practice, I worked on a criminal defense.
Okay.
So my law partner at the time did primarily criminal defense.
All right.
I assisted with those cases.
Okay.
And there were also many attorneys that I worked with as outside counsel, where
Okay.
I sat as second chair
That makes sense.
for criminal defense cases. My focus when I assisted in criminal defense cases is I really enjoyed doing jury selection and jury bias,
Okay.
Okay.
because one of the first things you need to do is be able to pick the
Right.
best jury possible
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
your client. So I looked at it from a defense side,
Okay.
which is like two sides of the same coin. It's like heads or tails, but it's the
Mhm.
same coin.
Mhm.
And I think that gives a unique advantage because when I look at something, I can see where some of the holes are
Got it. That
from the
makes good sense.
prosecution. And when I got hired at the district attorney's office, there weren't that many deputies, quite frankly,
Okay.
that by the end of Chris Arabia's term, there were very few deputies that were
We
left.
don't
There, I
talk
think there
about
was like
Chris
5,
Arabia.
yeah, 5. Well, there were about 5 of us there, and we
Mhm.
were all doing a little civil, a little bit of criminal. I was doing also criminal work there
Okay.
and getting used to the prosecution side because now I have to learn the
Right.
office's procedures, how the prosecutors work, what their role, how they do things in the office. And I was getting in with that. In fact, I was the one who disbanded the criminal deputies union at the time. So in order to do that, the criminal deputies wanted to unionize.
Okay.
hmm
I was the one then who had the petition signed to disband that.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you had to be doing 50% or more of the criminal work.
Got
Okay.
it. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
And when Brian came in, then he, like I said, he had his vision for the office. He brought in criminal deputies that he was familiar with, had worked with in the
Mhm.
past. And the criminal deputies then doubled the number that we had in the office when Brian had even come
Oh
in.
wow.
Okay.
And then he moved, of course, I was then solely civil with
Right.
Marla.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like
So-
you've got experience on both sides
Yes.
of the coin.
Yes, I do.
Because I know that was a concern voiced to me at one
I've-
point that because of
Mhm.
your background being primarily in the civil division that you didn't have the prosecutorial chops to step into the office, and I knew better, and I told them that, but I wanted to hear it from you.
Right. And that is something that uh, Brian is running on, that
Mhm.
I have no prosecutorial experience. That is not
Not
true. I have defense experience.
hmm
Um, and like I said, it's the same side. It's two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Okay.
And understanding a good defense means you're probably going to be very good on the prosecutorial side.
I mean, you look at one of the best boxers in the world, and he's solely defensive. He just gets a 1-2 every once in a while, and he wins
Exactly.
by points. That's
Well, and understanding how a defense attorney would poke holes in a case to achieve reasonable doubt to
Mhm.
to get a good case put together.
Right. And when you're a litigator, you're a litigator. You
Exactly.
can pick up a case and litigate it. And that's what I did for 25 years in private
Okay.
practice. I was the litigator.
That makes perfect sense. Now, one of the other concerns people have voiced, and this was voiced by our current sheriff, that the district attorney's office is somewhat stonewalling and messing with cases that they're building. How do you build that bridge back with the sheriff's department? Because it sounds like there's some friction there.
From my understanding, there is a lot of friction with the sheriff's office. I have worked very successfully with the sheriff's office,
That's good to hear.
both under when we had a Sheriff Worley and with our Sheriff McGill.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So in my view, have a very good rapport, both with the staff as well as with the sheriff.
That's awesome to hear because I know that cases fall apart if you don't have both pieces working together, the investigative and the prosecutorial.
And there was even an article in the paper where the sheriff
Yes,
came out
and
and
that's
said
where I
there was
got
an
that
issue,
information from.
right, with public records. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I'm focusing on in my campaign
Okay.
is transparency.
That's awesome.
Working on those public records, opening up the public records.
Yeah, because that makes me really happy to have transparency.
Oh,
'Cause I'm tired
absolutely.
of looking for things and then all of a sudden being stonewalled that way.
Mhm.
Especially as we do this podcast, we go through for freedom of information.
Exactly. We submit FOIAs all the dang time, and they're sick of me.
Right. And in fact, I've just recently submitted a public records request to the district attorney's office
Uh-huh.
because my opponent, the current district attorney, is touting that he's prosecuted 250 more cases than the past administration in the last 3 years. And first, he
It-
doesn't say that he doubled the number of attorneys
Right.
working
It is.
just in criminal.
Yes, it is believable that he would prosecute more than Arabia did because Arabia didn't prosecute a whole lot.
Well, there's
There's
there's a
more
lot
of-
more
there's more
information
to 'em.
there. But if you think 250 more cases on average of say 8 deputies,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
because they came and went,
Right.
that's less than 1 case per deputy per month over the last 3 years.
Right. That doesn't
So
sound like a
sound
lot.
like it.
Yeah.
And giving those
marginal
numbers
increase.
out, and our
Yeah.
population has increased. And in fact, I believe it's 2024, and I don't have the document in front of me. Don't
Mm,
quote me 100% on the year, but I'm pretty positive it was 2024. There were 0 trials that were prosecuted in the district court.
wow.
So
Either they plat out every one
there
of them
there
plat
is
out.
a
Which I've heard that time
there's
and time again.
A
that
lot of
it
pleading
was
out.
more, hey, push for this, push for this, push for this, so that way it didn't go to trial. It was just plead out.
Right. So I did a public records request to say how many cases are still in screening.
That makes sense.
And I got a response that said he's not going to give me those numbers. So
Ooh,
he wants to tell you what the numbers are. He wants to, hang
Sounds
his
like a
hat
Johnny
on that
Cochran.
number,
Look over here, not over here.
but he doesn't want to actually disclose,
I'll tell you the
show the
numbers, but I won't give you the
document,
facts.
but he won't give you the facts. And again,
wow.
that goes back to my issue
Yeah,
of transparency.
absolutely. That's a there's that's not a I cannot conceive because there are conceivable reasons to keep certain records sealed until say post trial kind of thing.
Right.
But that's a generic statistical that doesn't have any bearing on anything.
No, I did not ask for names
Right.
or any personal identifying
Right.
information, anything about the case. I asked for numbers. The district attorney is throwing out numbers. I've asked for numbers as a public record, as
Uh-huh.
either
Yeah.
one, any of us
Right.
can ask for, and was told that without case law, without any citation
Mhm.
directly to the NRS, was simply told he's not going to provide that.
Right. I got a very similar response out of the office
Mhm.
for we were looking at suicide rates in the county and got I wasn't asking for any details on any case. I just wanted to know since we were both work in the public administrator's office. So we see a large number. So we get an oddball sample size. We wanted to see, for the program, what's the rate here versus the rate nationally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we got stonewalled.
Oh yeah. Well, I was told flat out it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Which is
And
unfortunate.
right. And some of my meet and greets, I've been asked also by the public, why aren't civil cases disclosed? As far as who's suing the county and what are the causes of action.
Well,
And those are public records.
they are.
Once a case is filed,
It's
but they're asking why doesn't the district attorney just disclose those cases and list those for the public?
For one, we don't need you going out there and committing the atrocities to try and sue the city because you want to get a cash flow income. No, seriously. We saw this stuff time and time again in half a dozen cities in California.
Oh yes.
Where all of a sudden they're like, oh,
I slipped and
this.
fell.
We saw the interaction with the deputy from the I forgot the freaking name of them.
First Amendment auditor.
Yeah, the auditors that came out here, and yeah, it was
Yeah.
bad form. Cool.
But I don't think it crossed the line. But that's me. I'm not again not an attorney. So yeah, I appreciate you wanting to bring transparency. One of the things that has bothered me a little bit about one of the things that the current administration, and I don't want to bash on Brian too hard, is his opinion that the removing the photos from the in custodies. Um, to be honest, I didn't. Other counties are doing it within the state, so I find it's a public service to be able to have an idea of, well, this person has been accused of this, and this. If I see him hanging around my property, maybe I want to, be a little more leery. But yeah, a particular individual that has a long history of, public masturbation and lewdness. But I think you probably know exactly who I'm talking about. But yeah, because she was able to recognize him from his long list of Peeping Tom and various other arrests.
And you'll see those on the news. You
Mhm.
see the mugshots on the news.
Exactly.
And right now our current administration takes a hard line on we don't release those records.
Yeah, but it's amazing when all of a sudden something goes quiet at the Nugget, allegedly.
Hey. We're not going to get her involved in that
I'm
one.
not getting her involved in that. I'm just saying that there's no call, no squawk, no this, and then all of a sudden, hey, no picture to boot.
Yeah, fair
Just
enough.
saying the similarities of that, where all of a sudden, hey, I like the fact that she's wanting transparency when it comes to her position,
Exactly.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because it's when all of a sudden politics
Play into things.
play into things, and all of a
Then-
sudden, hey, we're just gonna brush this into the shadows.
Then unfortunately, guys like us on podcasts like ours start drawing conclusions, and I don't like drawing conclusions like
Well-
that from no information.
Well, it also sucks because then the public opinion is then there's a hierarchy not only in this town, but if you're in a politician's position, that you do not have to follow the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
We have talked about this with the billboards. We have talked about this with the signs, where people were putting them up beyond the 60 days prior to.
On private property, though, skirting the rules.
Private property is one of those things in this town that is becoming a hit or miss type thing. It could be private, it's owned by somebody, but somebody is still putting stuff out there,
True.
or it's on BLM, but all of a sudden you have to get the records request to see where that boundary line
Mhm.
is. Because I am one of the big people. I drive down Homestead all the time. I know where there's private property. I know where there's property that's up for sale because it's up for sale. We had this issue where when we had squatters back behind Smith's, before the law was written into place,
Which I like that law.
that the county can go through and say, hey, you need to leave.
And I assisted with writing that
Oh,
with
okay.
the sheriff.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that.
Very
I
nice.
appreciate you.
Well, because it's one of those things where previously we had to contact the private property owner, and we know a lot of people around here that are snowbirds
Or absentee.
or absentee, or they own a zombie lot that they can't do anything on, so it just sits vacant. And then all of a sudden, hey, you have a squatter party, and that sucks because then you have individuals that come in and do that. We have talked to several individuals about coming onto the podcast that were homeless that for a period of time were out here. And then they got their jobs, they turned their life around, they did that. But when all of a sudden you have
The ones that have no ambition whatsoever.
no, and they're just
So that's actually
Squatty
a good question. Since you brought up that you helped craft that particular what's it, county ordinance. There we go. That ordinance. Are there any particular other ordinances that you would like to see drafted?
I've worked on a few of the ordinances
Uh-huh.
for removing the junk vehicles.
Okay.
You know, some of those. In fact, that came up at the VOCC
Right.
today.
I know that.
The homeless and the squatters. We did a graffiti ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ordinances that have been crafted, but there's no enforcement of them.
That's unfortunate.
And that kind of gives co-compliance. I mean, you get a citation, you know, you can throw it in the
Mhm.
trash because nothing's going to happen with it
right.
anyway.
It's not going to go anywhere.
And the same thing as I'm hearing with the animal shelter. There's a number of animal cases that get sent over to the DA's office
Mm-hmm.
that there's no prosecution. And my big platform is especially enforcement of animal abuse cases.
Okay.
And you know, if you've seen my billboard, if you've seen any of my signs,
I have.
I have my dog on there,
Oh,
Jackson.
absolutely. Yep.
So
I was gonna ask you about that because Dave Oceanrider met your dog and says it's absolutely beautiful. So
yes, he is. Actually he looks a lot like a husky,
yeah.
but he's a Carolina dog,
Uh-huh.
and that's the breed name. I don't know why they had to add dog at the back end.
Let's help
It kinda
identify
looks-
that that's
yeah,
a dog.
That is a dog. And it's one of the last known wild breeds in the United States. It's
Really?
also
Okay.
called the American dingo,
Okay.
and they still roam the swamps in South Carolina.
Very
And
cool.
that's how it got their name,
That's awesome.
Carolina dog.
Yeah, I know you just probably won a couple of votes from like Jason DeMann and his group of animal folks. What have we got there, John? That's a long one. Amy, if you want to synopsize that.
So, current DA disposed to case where I was show up, taking time off my job in a suit, and we're not on the docket because they disposed the case because we had not sent in the victim witness statement.
Oh, I think this
Well,
was
they sent to the wrong address on my street.
I think this is exactly what we were talking about before the show, where we were talking about who sets
Who
up
sets the
docket.
calendar and the docket and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
let's speak to that because I know people have, you know, clearly, John. I unfortunately I can't read all of that. The screen is too small and I don't have my glasses on. But who sets that docket and how is that set up?
the court sets the docket
Okay.
and the order in which the court wants to hear the cases.
So when
Now,
you
if-
say the court, are you saying
The
The judge?
judge.
Okay.
The judge
Probably
through
the
their
judge's
clerk. Yeah,
clerk.
the judge's clerk through the judge will set what cases are on calendar. They will look through the file to see
Mhm.
if they have everything that's needed in order for a case to go forward.
Okay.
Okay.
So if a case goes off unexpectedly, it may be that some document wasn't filed, there is something that the court is still waiting for that needs to be done.
Okay, and that's more the court than the DA's office that would be impacting something like John when they send it to the wrong address and
Yes.
missing a document and that kind of
Yes.
thing. So can't blame you. Not gonna blame you.
Thanks.
So I have one more question, but because I wanted to let you go in about 15, we're at 20. Plea bargains. I know I get we discuss a lot of things here at the lounge, and the number of plea bargains bothers a lot of people, particularly in big impact cases like and I don't want to just speak on a specific, but I'll give you an example. The drunk individual that hit and killed the infant out there on 160. They ended up
Yeah.
pleading out and ended up with a fairly limited sentence. What is your opinion? Are you going to be taking more cases to trial, or are you going to, explain? I don't know. My question has gone off the rails.
Are you going to be more pursuit of going to full court and trial, or playing out? And I understand that this is a complex,
Nuanced
it's a
question.
very generalized
it is
question
very
that has a
10,000 foot
very
level.
complex answer.
I mean, there are the plea bargains that will take effect.
Of course.
Mhm.
For those serious cases, a plea bargain with a slap on the wrist is not acceptable.
Very good. Okay. That answers my question and it fixes my mind
Yeah.
on this. Michelle, we always give anybody who comes on the show the last word. Is there anything else you want to say to John Q. Public out there before we wrap up the interview?
Well, what I'd like to say is don't just believe what you're hearing from the other side. Look for the facts. Look at each candidate. Look at my resume. You can go on my website, www.nelson for district attorney for the number 4, Nelson the number 4 districtattorney.com, and you can read about my experience, my credentials, the platform of issues that I'm running on, and do some research. Reach out to me if there are specific questions that you have. You can call me, email me. There may be a delay if you call or text me because I am still working at the district attorney's office.
Right. You can't
And
conduct
I can't
campaign business
communicate.
during
Yeah, right.
business
I
hours.
cannot do that.
That's kind of hard to sit there and be like, I'm running against my now boss.
Yeah, I am running
Well,
against my boss.
But I have to give you
Absolute props for that.
nice.
You
nice
see a
props for
problem
that.
and you want to go after it. I love
Yeah.
that.
And the county isn't what it was 3 years ago before
No,
our current
absolutely.
administration. And like I've said at my meet and greets, I mean, I have a job. I could have just sat back and continued to do
Right.
my job the way it is. But when I moved here 7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I actually moved here. I closed my office in Orange County
Okay.
to come and take care of my parents who were getting older. They weren't not able to drive back and forth any longer. And I decided this was going to be the place I'm going to retire. Well, if we continue in the same path, it's not the place I'm going to stay to retire. And
That
that's
makes
what
a
I
lot of
want to
sense.
do.
I
Wait,
Nye County is now
we've been
my
saying
home.
that.
yeah, we've been
tonight.
saying that too.
We've been saying that too.
Oh,
Where all of a
Nye
sudden,
County is my home. I want to stay here. So in order to do that, I need to step up and make some changes.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Michelle.
thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
so
I
much.
appreciate you.
Thank you
Thank
for coming
you.
on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's go ahead and we will unmic you. There we go. You can go ahead and break it there, Amy. You're just fine. I saw